Toss a coin to your writers, their cranium's empty. Toss a coin to your writers, their cranium's empty. Their cranium's empty. Don't toss a coin to your writers, their cranium's empty. Their cranium's empty. Thank you. I'm sure you're all aware of Occam's razor, the theory that all being equal, the simplest explanation is most likely to be correct. But we're dealing with a slightly different theory today. A theory I like to fondly refer to as Abrams' razor. This being that should an IP release a movie or television adaptation, its dedicated fanbase will almost certainly dislike it. Star Wars fans hate the most recent trilogy and almost everything that's come out since then. Star Trek fans hate everything beyond. Halo fans disliked the TV series more than the people who made the TV series disliked the games. Wheel of Time fans hated the show, and of course, the Witcher series. Apart from Henry Cavill, we absolutely give him a pass. He was a very grumpy Geralt, but a fantastic one nevertheless. And my theory of Abrams' razor would also seem to apply to today's test subject, The Witcher: Blood Origins, the prequel nobody asked for. I think it's reasonable to say that the show has not been met with critical acclaim. I would also like to point out that this show debuted on Christmas Day. For most people, one of the happier days of the year. Regardless of all of this festive joy, that wouldn't save the showmakers from, well, this. If I gave you a Great British Pound for every time you've heard someone on the internet say even the critics gave it a 38%, you'd have enough money to film a better series. I think that the Witcher fans, that being fans of the games and the books, I think they would have been happier if Netflix had not have paid for this series and instead invested all of that money into a man that would systematically go around to each one of the fans' houses punching them directly in the face. At least that way it would have been, a little bit more personal. Blood Origin, the answer to the question, is it possible to choke on your own penis? So, the show is set more than 1,000 years before the books and games. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Hold on just a moment. A fantasy series? A prequel series set more than 1,000 years before the pre-established media? We've heard this before. Oh my god. Oh, hell. But even the shills are having a hard time supporting this show. The critics only gave it a 38%, don't you know? Now, I have played the Witcher games, including titles such as Thronebreaker. If you've not played that, by the way, I do highly recommend it. I have not, however, read the books, but it would appear that this is not a problem, as I've looked into it, and it would appear that this show has almost zero ties with any of the literature, bar a couple of names here and there. A show that doesn't reward the fans who have played the games or read the books? This sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, doesn't it? I would also like to point out that the acronym for Blood Origins is BO, which is quite fitting for a stinky show. Thank you very much. I'll be here all week. Anyway, Johnny, that's enough of your masterclass comedy. Please, get on with the bit where you tell me why the show is stinky poo-poo. Well, I thought you'd never ask. Let's get started. And straight off the rip, it's not looking too fabulous. The establishing action scene is upside down, and I'm not entirely sure why. No, for real, there is no creative vision going on here. It is upside down for literally no reason. I might understand if, the camera panned out and it turned out you were not actually, the camera wasn't inverted. You were actually looking at a reflection of the combat through a pool of blood or something like that. That would help to illustrate the brutality of the scene. But no. Right, boys, I've got an idea. Make the introduction upside down. Okay, we could do that. Sure, okay. Why? See, I thought you'd ask this. Because. Okay, I like it. Let's do it. If this is the kind of decision-making that is going on behind the scenes, it's not looking too rosy so far. But this is just the first shot. We're just getting started. It's the opening scene. Maybe the dialogue's better. Fucking. Or maybe not. But the show at the very least is somewhat self-aware.
Let me guess. A bunch of warriors join forces to fight against all odds. It has been done to death.
I am being somewhat facetious there, by the way, because they then continue to begin to make excuses for why the plot might sound as though it's very generic. It's because it is. They're trying to preemptively squash arguments at the writing stage. It's not even like it's been released, people have complained about it and they've said, oh, they've got the characters in the show making excuses for, it might sound like it's generic, but we can assure you, it's not. It is. But it's not.
7 estranged warriors who come together to fight an unstoppable empire. That's been done to death.
Says a lot about the writer's confidence with their own skills in the show itself. Also, quick side note, I had to actively search this series. Now, I've watched a whole bunch of fantasy stuff on Netflix, including the Witcher series. I went on expecting, to just find it recommended on my front page. I found nothing. I thought, oh, well, maybe they've decided to get rid of it already because it's just nonsense. No, I manually searched it in and then it popped up. And not only that, it then told me, oh, this is one of the top 10 streamed things right now. No evidence of this on the front page whatsoever. I don't know if any of you have found the same thing, but I just don't think the Netflix is awfully confident about their show. They wouldn't even show someone who watched both seasons, all the way through, I might add. They wouldn't even show me. I had to go looking for it. And out of all of the fantasy television shows and movies from the past that this show could have derived ideas from, Wayne's World is not one that I was expecting.
Stop torturing yourself, man. You'll never afford it. Live in the now!
And maybe I'm just nitpicking here, but this, title sequence, transition scene, whatever's going on, it's not particularly impressive. It's somewhat reminiscent of, a 2000s BBC show, like Merlin or something. I absolutely adored that show, by the way. But, it certainly didn't have access to, the CGI and the budget that something like this show did. That is another tick in the poop box for me, I'm afraid. And I would just like to add that the diverse casting is getting out of hand. Even the Hammer is a woman.
Meldoff and her vengeful hammer, Gwen.
They have gone too far this time. And we then meet our first protagonist, and she plays the hurdy-gurdy.
Now the seeds they have sown.
Now, I have seen many things in my life, but I have not yet seen a hurdy-gurdy girl before. This is a first. Congratulations, Netflix. Very brave. Much progressive. But don't think for a moment that this is all that she is. Oh, no. This is a strong protagonist, after all. She is not just a musical maestro. She is also a hurdy-gurdy assassin who carries about knives within her hurdy-gurdy to throw at unexpecting white men whenever they choose to grope women whilst she's in the middle of a musical number. And would you know, that eventuality conveniently transpires not moments into her first number.
Let no one doubt.
Please, better go. You can all drink for free.
Well, that was fortuitous timing and placement, wasn't it? Bad man. Naughty, bad man. Everyone boo the bad man. Come on. Boo, bad man. Naughty, bad man. She was just trying to play the hurdy-gurdy and now she's got to go out of her way to stab a nonce.
I get stabby with knives. Yeah, in the kitchen.
Our protagonist then bravely begins to beat up every man within the establishment.
Sorry, friends. Can't abide bad manners.
And then everyone laughed and cheered.
To the lark!
Oh, they actually did. That's really cool. That's pretty cool. We then meet protagonist number 2, who is incredibly intelligent. And, he's very good at swinging his weapon about. He's also not bad with an axe. He gets caught sleeping with the princess that he's sworn to protect, and as a result of this, he is stripped of his titles and banished. We'll get back to him in just a little bit. Because we then join the princess who he's been sleeping with, and she has big aspirations in life. She doesn't just want to be a princess, she wants to be a royal advisor.
I found a worthy suitor for you. The King of Prussia is a widower.
Of course. Whatever you need to achieve peace.
But no, you silly woman, you have to marry for the sake of duty. Wow, we've never heard that one before.
That's been done to death.
Yes, maybe I'm just incredibly ignorant. Maybe I'm a bigot. But I don't have sympathy for these kinds of characters, these princesses who have to do their duty. I mean, I understand, sacrificing the principle, at least, sacrificing what you want to do in life, for the sake of duty. It's very noble, very honourable. But come on, please, you can't get me to sympathise with this person particularly well, though, because boo-hoo. The princess can't have a normal day job because she has to be queen. That is one of, if not the most privileged position within that society that you're trying to paint her as some sort of underdog. Everyone has problems and they're all relative, but for God's sake, stop being so unoriginal and just come up with some new parables. There are many ways to tell a story.
I've returned.
Hey, look who it is! It's Lenny Henry, fresh off the success of Rings of Power. He's getting shafted by his agent, isn't he? First Rings of Power, now this. Where'd you go from there? And I have to say that the green screen work is looking just a little bit ropey. And by ropey, I mean absolutely god-awful. For real, there are YouTubers with less than 50,000 subscribers who are more competent with chroma key. I'll give credit where credit's due. I think that the two main protagonists, they're not like, especially coming off the heels of Willow and Rings of Power, they're not the most dislikable protagonists, but in this day and age, that's not saying much. They're not that bad. They're decent enough actors, and I think that the action, it's all right. It's pretty good. It's well choreographed. At least they're not doing this, that annoying thing where they zoom right into the action and make a million cuts just to cover up a bunch of lazy choreography. They're fairly, long, wide shots where you can kind of see what's going on, and it's for the most part pretty believable. They take the odd liberty here and there. I mean, there is that one scene where she underhand throws a dagger and it hits an archer from a pretty decent distance. But they didn't go too crazy with it, so, I will give a bit of credit where credit's due. The first episode could have had, like, a half-decent ending if they'd cut it much shorter. Like, I feel like the massacre scene or, the bit where the two protagonists team up, I feel like that would have been a decent place to end the first episode and would have left it on, a slight cliffhanger, but for some reason, they kept moving the episode forward, and it just ends up tripping over its own toes. We then start running into really cringy scenes.
We are the Black Rose.
Enough.
If I'm being honest, I don't know why this is a Witcher show. If I had to guess, it's literally just like, it's a generic fantasy show that they just slapped the Witcher name on to give it a bit of clout, probably, just to get a bit more of it. But the thing is, this show would have probably been a bit better received if it had nothing to do with The Witcher. If you just released this, change those 2 or 3 names, release this as its own new original thing, it would have probably been received a little bit better. Particularly, like I say, particularly after things like Willow and Rings of Power. People, probably would have eaten this up. But you had to attach the Witcher name to it. You had to try and clout chase. Obviously, with Henry's escape from the Witcher series, this is not the best time, public image-wise for the Witcher team. So, as a generic fantasy TV show, it's aight. At best, it's aight. Episode 1, it's okay. But as a Witcher TV show, no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There is no reason for this to be a Witcher show. No reason whatsoever. At this point, like I say, I would much rather Netflix pay a man to come and punch me in the face than to keep giving me Witcher products like this. However, please do keep in mind as well, I've been reading a lot of positive and negative reviews from both users and critics, and one thing that seems to come up in quite a lot of them is episode 1 is okay, and then after then it takes a complete nosedive. It somehow gets much, much worse. So please do make sure that you come and join me for my little review of episode 2. I look forward to seeing you then. But until then, like and subscribe, you bitch. And if you're in the market for a nice chair like mine, you can use my affiliate link down below and you'll be helping me out. Thank you very much for watching the video. I do hope you take care of yourselves. If you do want to join my Patreon or become a member of the channel, you can also use the links down below. And talking of the patrons and the channel members, here they are. Posibon, Flunky, Jax and Brennus, my beautiful top tier members. Tier 2, Steve the Goat, Dr. Melski, Saeed, MG, Virgil, Kunos, Sacco, Mark, Maiden, Sensei, Fang, Hadziu, Michael, Terpia, and Yarnwich. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas. And of course, a big thank you to the Tier 1 members and patrons as well. Once again, thank you ever so much, guys. Like I say, hope you had a really good Christmas, and I look forward to seeing you in the new year. Here's to a slightly more entertaining 2023, eh? See you then. There we go, another day, another video. Will you join me for the next one? I hope you will. But until then, take care of yourselves, guys, and I'll see you real soon.